Here's another update. You can see I have the wheels on, so technically it's a rolling chassis. In my last video I did have some, I wouldn't call them concerns, but some thoughts on the changing camera angle. There is some flex. You can see these two wires bowing out there. So tying those two together will tighten everything up. But this camera angle right there, I'm gonna end up changing that up. So what I plan to do is add two more of these pieces right here to this wire down here and have them hanging down below. That way the lower arms will be more parallel with the upper arms, and that will keep the camber even, or more so even, in this in the travel. Now that I have the wheels off, I get a better look. So it's kind of hard to see. This upper link right here is not parallel with this lower link. Plus the angle, you want them to kind of come out a little bit more. This is probably almost 45 degrees facing downward, that lower link. So that's doesn't give a lot of good support side to side, and especially with this front bowing out like that. But once again, I'll tie these two together, so that'll keep everything tighter up front doing that alone. But I need to just lower these lower links. Nothing much changed on the back from the last video. The only difference would be the suspension, dampening for the suspension. So as you can see, that's just basically how it functions there. These are the 1/16 Summit shocks. I believe they're all the same with the 1/16 E Revo and Rally, but I'm not sure they use the same weight oil in all of them. I know they come with different springs, but I'm not using the springs on the back here. And the oil that came in these shocks it was actually too heavy. The oil was thick enough where if you depress the suspension, it would basically stay. It wouldn't rebound by itself because the oil was too thick. I did go to the kitchen and looked in my cabinets for something, and did come across some olive oil in the cupboard. So that's what I have in there, and actually it's working pretty well. Up front, I did end up using the springs. Not that I really thought I needed the springs, because this suspension up front is actually a little bit stiff, and that might be a good thing for a drag car. It's not going to be turning, and stiffer front suspension will actually induce push or understeer. So actually that would probably be pretty good for a drag car anyway. So I was thinking about leaving the suspension like this, but like I said, I just want everything to be tied in a lot tighter, and I would rather have that camber angle remain more so the same throughout the travel of the suspension. So that's just moving a little bit too much. I tried different mounting holes for the upper links and adjusted the length accordingly, but this was the best case I came up with this setup, so I'm going to change that. These are the front wheels that I'm going to use. I just like it because it has the Goodyear on there, and it matches the rear tires in that aspect. These came on the 1/16. I think it was Kyle Busch NASCAR, or his NAS truck. I did have to drill out the center to be able to fit over the front axle, because they were a little bit thicker than what Traxxas usually have on their vehicles. But still a 12mm hex, so they fit just fine. now to fix the front. I got another package here of Tamiya TLT1 suspension stay parts. So I'm going to use the longer units in there, 2 of those. So I'm going to just do a test fit right now. Just real quick, I'm not going to detach anything from up here. I'm just going to kind of mock this up or make sure that everything will work as I kind of have it pictured in my mind. So it's going to be something like that. And I'll have to find a piece to just tie these 2 together. You have these holes on the side here. So I have a cross brace going beneath there. And I'll in turn tie these 2 wires, or these 2 ends together also. I will be cutting these wires up here. I just don't want to cut them yet because I'm not sure how much I might need to use of them. I do plan to mount the servo plate off of these lower wires. I'll mount the lower arm to these holes on the inside here. The lower arm will now be much more parallel with the upper arm now. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just do one side for now, and that way I can compare the 2 sides. So it's looking better with this new setup. I'm going to go ahead and have to do this side because to make sure everything is right, I have to tie these 2 together. And that way I know if I need to adjust the lower links from their present length. If I do have to adjust them, I have to be a half turn or a turn or 2. So it shouldn't be that bad, but let me go ahead and do the other side. Alright, so now it's together. I'm gonna have to find something to brace these 2 parts. Here's a stash of posts that I have from my past projects, and the old Stampede chassis comes handy as a carrying case. So I have everything attached up front. So now let's compare to how it was. You can see that, well, a couple things now. So the front end is a lot stiffer now. So now I might go ahead and be able to take these springs off like I originally had planned and just work with the spring edge or spring rate in the music wire. Or I might just leave it like that, nice and stiff. But more importantly, that camber angle is not changing as much now. That's good. I could definitely live with that. Looks like I might have to shorten the lower links just by 1 full turn, just a guess, because the wheels are kind of have a little bit more negative camber than I would like, but it's looking good. All right, after a little bit more trial and error, made a few more adjustments. Like I lengthened the upper arms and actually used the outer holes on top of the knuckles. And with the wheels back on, that's where we'll leave it at for this time. So, till next time, later.